Alright, so the next few years of gaming are looking absolutely illegal. We're talking massive AAA titles, long-awaited sequels, brand new IPs, and games that are already bullying our backlog before they even drop. No clickbait, no wild rumors, just 35 of the biggest new AAA games everyone is watching like a hawk. If you love hype, chaos, and pretending you won't pre-order, yeah, this video is for you. Let's get into it.
That's where you're wrong. I'm just getting started.
007 First Light is IO Interactive's bold reimagining of James Bond's origin, casting players as a young, rebellious Royal Navy airman recruited into MY6, where the journey to earn his license to kill unfolds across globe-trotting missions, cinematic espionage, and gadget-fueled chaos. Built on the Glacier engine, the game promises breathtaking stealth and explosive action, weaving a standalone story inspired by Ian Fleming's novels while embracing modern blockbuster flair. Scheduled for release on May 27, 2026 across PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch 2, and PC, it's touted as IO's most ambitious project yet, blending spycraft, car chases, and moral dilemmas into a seamless narrative. Midway through development, the studio delayed launch by 2 months to polish the experience, because even Bond needs time to iron his tux. And let's be honest, if you fail a mission, don't worry, Bond always has a license to respawn.
Tell me, what do you do, James?
Lately, headhunting.
Atomic Heart 2 is Mundfish's ambitious sequel to their surreal Soviet dystopia, announced at Summer Game Fest 2025 and set for release in 2026 on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. Continuing Major P3's journey, the game expands beyond Facility 3826 into a global stage where retro-futuristic aesthetics collide with collapsing societies and rogue robotics. Players can expect deeper RPG systems, skill upgrades, and expanded weapon customization, all wrapped in the studio's signature blend of eerie atmosphere and explosive combat. The narrative promises a broader exploration of alternate history, with humanity's survival hanging in the balance as mechanical nightmares spread worldwide. And yes, the robots are still terrifying, though at least they don't complain when you forget to oil them, unlike your car. With Mundfish promising more freedom, moral dilemmas, and cinematic flair, Atomic Heart 2 aims to elevate its predecessor's cult reputation into blockbuster territory. Black Myth: Zhongkui is Game Science's next mythological action RPG, following the success of Black Myth: Wukong, and it thrusts players into the legendary tale of Zhongkui, the demon-quelling figure from Chinese folklore. Built on Unreal Engine 5, the game promises cinematic combat, sprawling environments, and a darker tone that explores morality, myth, and the balance between humanity and the supernatural. Players will wield Zhongkui's immense strength and mystical powers to battle hordes of demons across richly detailed landscapes inspired by ancient Chinese culture. The narrative is designed to be both epic and personal, charting Zhongkui's rise as a protector against chaos while immersing players in a world of haunting beauty and brutal encounters. And yes, fighting demons is tough, but at least Zhongkui doesn't have to worry about patch notes ruining his sword swing. With Game Science expanding the Black Myth universe to multiple legendary figures, Zhongkui's chapter is set to be a cornerstone of the franchise's ambitious future. Blood Message is NetEase's upcoming single-player action-adventure set in the late Tang Dynasty, developed by 24 Entertainment using Unreal Engine 5, where players embody a nameless messenger and his son on a perilous eastward journey during the Shazhou Uprising of 848 AD. The game blends cinematic storytelling with tense survival mechanics as you traverse deserts, hostile territories, and relentless enemy sieges to deliver a crucial message to Chang'an. Its narrative focuses on loyalty, sacrifice, and the unsung heroes of history, offering a linear yet emotionally charged odyssey. Combat is third-person, emphasizing skillful swordplay and tactical encounters, while the atmosphere captures the grandeur and decay of Tang-era China. And yes, carrying a message across 3,000 li is exhausting, but at least you don't have to deal with spam texts along the way. With no release date yet, Blood Message is poised to be a hauntingly beautiful tale of duty and resilience.
长安于天地之间。回家吧，这些毫无意义。
Control Resonant is Remedy Entertainment's bold sequel to their 2019 hit, shifting the spotlight from Jessie Faden to her troubled younger brother Dylan, 7 years after the events of the first game. Set in a paranormally warped Manhattan rather than the oldest house, the story unfolds as the Hiss escapes containment, twisting skyscrapers and streets into surreal battlegrounds. Dylan, armed with new abilities and a shape-shifting melee weapon called the Aberrant, must confront cosmic threats while searching for his sister, who may have gone rogue. Unlike its predecessor's shooter focus, Resonant leans into action RPG systems, offering open-ended exploration, moral choices, and deeper progression. Remedy promises a cinematic expansion of its connected universe, co-produced with Annapurna Pictures, aiming for release in 2026 across PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and Mac. And yes, Manhattan may be collapsing under supernatural forces, but at least the rent finally matches the vibe. Crimson Desert is Pearl Abyss's sweeping open-world action-adventure set to release on March 19, 2026 for PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and Mac OS. The game unfolds in the war-torn continent of Pywell, where players step into the boots of Cliff, a mercenary leader of the fallen Greymanes determined to reunite his scattered comrades and reclaim their legacy Crimson Desert. Built on the Black Space engine, it promises cinematic storytelling, visceral combat, and a living world teeming with rival factions, mythical beasts, and shifting alliances. Unlike its MMO cousin Black Desert Online, Crimson Desert is a standalone single-player epic, blending medieval fantasy with gritty survival. The narrative emphasizes loyalty, betrayal, and destiny, while gameplay showcases dynamic battles, exploration, and even the ability to ride bears, dragons, and mechs PC gamer. And yes, when you're charging into battle on a bear, you'll finally understand why knights never skipped leg day. With its ambitious scope, Crimson Desert aims to redefine fantasy RPGs by merging spectacle with emotional depth.
Remember who you are, and let it guide your path, for at the end of it.
Divinity is Larian Studios' newly announced RPG, revealed at the Game Awards 2025, marking a return to the studio's original fantasy universe after the massive success of Baldur's Gate 3. Built as a spiritual successor to Divinity Original Sin 2, the game promises continuity with familiar characters, while introducing a completely new storyline, darker themes, and a more ambitious scope. Confirmed to retain turn-based combat, it expands progression systems, moral choices, and cinematic storytelling, blending everything Larian learned from its previous projects into what it calls its most ambitious RPG yet. Fans can expect haunting environments, complex party dynamics, and a narrative that rewards exploration and sharp decision-making. And yes, it's still turn-based, because nothing says epic fantasy like waiting politely for your enemy to finish their move before you stab them. With no release date yet, Divinity is shaping up to be a cornerstone in modern RPG design, promising depth, drama, and devilish fun. Exodus is Archetype Entertainment's debut sci-fi RPG, crafted by ex-BioWare veterans under Wizards of the Coast, and it thrusts players into a galaxy-spanning odyssey where humanity's survival hinges on the traveler, Juna's Lan, a salvager turned reluctant hero. Set 40,000 years in the future, the story explores time dilation, genetic evolution, and the clash with godlike celestials, blending cinematic storytelling with action RPG combat. Players will wield a gauntlet that fuses alien remnants into devastating powers, recruit loyal companions, and navigate rival dynasties across extraordinary worlds. The narrative emphasizes sacrifice and the paradox of returning home to find time itself reshaped, promising moral dilemmas and epic scope reminiscent of Mass Effect but with its own identity. And yes, battling cosmic entities is terrifying, but at least you don't have to explain to your boss why you're late because of time dilation. With an early 2027 release window, Exodus aims to redefine narrative-driven sci-fi RPGs with ambition and heart.
Thanks again for your help. You should have been honest. This place is for...
Fatekeeper is THQ Nordic's upcoming first-person sword and sorcery RPG, a handcrafted fantasy adventure where ruins whisper of past cataclysms and players wield both steel and sorcery to shape their destiny. Set in a world of crumbling sanctuaries, vast caverns, and forgotten battlegrounds, the game emphasizes exploration, lore, and choices that define who you become. Combat blends melee and magic with foes that demand tactical mastery, while physics-driven encounters recall the chaotic fun of Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. Yes, you can shove enemies off cliffs, proving gravity is the most reliable spell in your arsenal. The narrative promises a focused yet expansive journey, rewarding curiosity with relics and secrets hidden across Pywell's landscapes. With its gritty tone, dynamic battles, and spell-slinging druid protagonist, Fatekeeper aims to deliver a grounded but exhilarating fantasy experience that balances cinematic storytelling with player agency. "14 Years of Flames" is Fenghuo Studios' upcoming story-driven first-person shooter that immerses players in China's struggle during the Second Sino-Japanese War, 1931 to 1945, spanning 14 years of resistance and sacrifice. The game casts players as 7 different characters across 16 historically grounded battles, weaving personal stories into the broader national fight for survival. Built with cinematic flair, it aims to combine emotional storytelling with intense FPS combat, offering a perspective rarely explored in mainstream war games. From urban sieges to desert marches, each mission highlights the resilience of ordinary people caught in extraordinary times. The developers emphasize authenticity, with environments and weapons modeled after real history, while still delivering the adrenaline of modern shooters. And yes, 14 Years of War is brutal, but at least you don't have to wait 14 years for a reload animation. With no confirmed release date yet, 14 Years of Flames is shaping up to be both a tribute and a visceral retelling of one of history's longest struggles. Gang of Dragon is Nagoshi Studios' gritty new action-adventure unveiled at the Game Awards 2025, set in Tokyo's Kabukicho nightlife district where neon lights mask the shadows of crime. Directed by Toshihiro Nagoshi, the legendary creator of Yakuza, the game stars Ma Dong-seok as Shinji Seong, a high-ranking member of a Korean syndicate navigating brutal underworld conflicts and fragile human bonds. Combat unfolds in visceral third-person style, mixing devastating hand-to-hand strikes with blades, firearms, and even high-octane vehicle chases through Shinjuku's crowded streets. The narrative promises a blend of violence and humanity, exploring loyalty, betrayal, and redemption in a city that never sleeps. And yes, when fists fly faster than bullets, you'll realize the true moral of the story: never skip arm day. With cinematic flair and a focus on raw physicality, Gang of Dragon is shaping up to be a spiritual successor to Nagoshi's Yakuza legacy, but with its own ferocious identity. GTA 6 is Rockstar Games' long-awaited sequel, set to release on November 19, 2026, and it transports players to the fictional state of Leonida, inspired by Florida, with Vice City as its neon-soaked centerpiece. The story follows criminal duo Jason Duval and Lucia Caminos, weaving a tale of romance, betrayal, and survival in a sprawling open world that promises unprecedented detail, dynamic weather, and evolving ecosystems. Built on the Rage engine, the game expands Rockstar's cinematic storytelling with deeper AI systems, more interactive environments, and a narrative that balances chaos with intimacy. Players can expect heists, car chases, and a living city that reacts to their choices, making every decision ripple across Leonida's underworld. And yes, crime may pay in Vice City, but don't expect your in-game rent to be any cheaper than Miami's. With years of anticipation and leaks behind it, GTA 6 is shaping up to be the most ambitious entry in the franchise, redefining open-world immersion for a new generation.
Say Vice City, baby! Vice City, baby!
Halo. Campaign Evolved is Halo Studios' ambitious full remake of the legendary Halo Combat Evolved, rebuilt from the ground up in Unreal Engine 5 and set to release in 2026 across Xbox Series X and S, Windows, and, shockingly, PlayStation 5, marking the franchise's first appearance outside Xbox. This reimagined campaign preserves the iconic battles of Master Chief against the Covenant and Flood while expanding with new story content, remastered 4K visuals, and refined mechanics shaped by 25 years of community feedback. Vehicles, weapons, and environments are redesigned for modern cinematic flair, while multiplayer modes are teased alongside the single-player epic. The narrative aims to honor Bungie's original while deepening lore connections across the Halo universe. And yes, the Flood are back, because nothing says welcome home like space zombies who never RSVP. With Day 1 Game Pass support and cross-platform play, Halo. Campaign Evolved is positioned as both a nostalgic return and a bold new chapter in sci-fi shooters.
A real fight. The cartographer must be here.
Marvel's Wolverine is Insomniac Games' highly anticipated leap into the darker side of Marvel's universe, arriving fall 2026 as a PlayStation 5 exclusive. Built by the same team behind Marvel's Spider-Man, the game tells a self-contained story where Logan confronts the ghosts of his past while carving through enemies with his iconic adamantium claws. The narrative is designed to be mature, gritty, and emotionally charged, with writers from Spec Ops: The Line ensuring depth and moral complexity. Gameplay showcases visceral melee combat, environmental destruction, and cinematic sequences that highlight Wolverine's feral nature. Unlike Spider-Man's acrobatics, Wolverine's world is slower, bloodier, and more personal, emphasizing raw brutality and survival. And yes, Logan's claws are sharp enough to slice through steel, but don't worry, he still struggles to open childproof medicine bottles. With Insomniac's pedigree and Sony's backing, Marvel's Wolverine is shaping up to be one of the most ambitious superhero games ever, expanding the studio's Marvel universe while giving fans the definitive Wolverine experience.
I'm Wolverine.
No Law is Neon Giant's ambitious follow-up to The Ascent, a single-player open-world FPS RPG unveiled at the Game Awards 2025, where players step into the boots of Gray Harker, an ex-military veteran whose quiet life tending plants is shattered when gangs and corrupt powers of Port Desire come crashing in. Built on handcrafted cyber-noir environments, the game emphasizes player choice. Whether you go loud with brutal gunfights or stealthy through reactive systems that respond to sightlines, noise, and pressure. The narrative promises a gritty tale of survival, revenge, and fractured morality, with Harker forced to confront both his past and the city that wronged him. Combat is visceral, blending custom hardware, tactical gunplay, and RPG progression, while the world pulses with gang wars and neon-lit decadence. And yes, Gray may be a hardened soldier, but even he knows the deadliest weapon in Port Desire is still rent prices. With no release date yet, No Law is shaping up to be a brutal, stylish expansion of Neon Giant's cyberpunk vision. OD is Hideo Kojima's daring new horror project created in partnership with Xbox Game Studios and co-written with filmmaker Jordan Peele, designed to test the very limits of fear itself. Built on Unreal Engine 5, the game stars Sophia Lillis, Hunter Schafer, and the late Udo Kier, weaving a surreal narrative that blurs reality and nightmare. Kojima describes OD as an experiment in overdosing on fear, pushing players into psychological thresholds rather than relying solely on jump scares. The teaser trailer, revealed at the Game Awards, showcased haunting visuals and cryptic dialogue, leaving fans speculating about its mechanics, whether it leans toward interactive storytelling, survival horror, or something entirely new. And yes, it's called OD, but don't worry, the only overdose you'll risk is on Kojima's love for cryptic trailers. With Kojima Productions keeping details tightly under wraps, OD is shaping up to be a genre-defining experiment in horror, promising a chilling blend of cinematic artistry and interactive terror. Onimusha: Way of the Sword is Capcom's long-awaited revival of the legendary samurai series, arriving in 2026 as the first new mainline entry since 2006's Dawn of Dreams. Directed by Satoru Nihei and powered by the RE engine, the game follows Miyamoto Musashi, modeled after actor Toshiro Mifune, through a dark fantasy version of Kyoto during the Edo period, where rival swordsmen, demons, and supernatural horrors collide. Gameplay blends cinematic exploration with hack-and-slash combat, emphasizing Musashi's mastery of the blade and mystical powers as he confronts both human and demonic foes. The narrative promises a mix of historical authenticity and mythic spectacle, immersing players in a world of honor, betrayal, and relentless battles. And yes, Musashi may be the greatest swordsman in history, but even he probably wishes demons came with an off switch. With Capcom's modern technology and storytelling ambition, Way of the Sword is poised to reforge Onimusha's legacy for a new generation.
I don't have time for these stupid games!
I'm terribly sorry.
Ontos is Frictional Games' bold new sci-fi mystery thriller, revealed at the Game Awards 2025 and set to launch in 2026 across PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. Positioned as a spiritual successor to Soma, it thrusts players into a surreal narrative centered on a repurposed moon hotel where morally complex experiments blur the line between reality and illusion. Built on Unreal Engine 5, the game promises atmospheric exploration, philosophical storytelling, and haunting environments that challenge players to question consciousness and existence itself. Ontos emphasizes narrative depth, weaving mystery with psychological tension while offering choices that shape the outcome of its cerebral journey. And yes, it's a game about overdosing on fear and existential dread, but at least you don't have to worry about overdosing on loot boxes. With its striking visuals and thought-provoking themes, Ontos is shaping up to be one of the most intriguing narrative-driven titles of 2026, cementing Frictional's reputation for redefining interactive horror and sci-fi.
Breaks.
Project Tal is South Korea's bold new challenger in the RPG arena, an open-world action-adventure steeped in Korean mythology and scheduled for release in 2027 across PC and consoles. Developed by a new studio, it promises cinematic storytelling, photorealistic visuals, and fast-paced combat that blends martial arts precision with flashy weapon combos, drawing comparisons to Black Myth, Wukong, and Stellar Blade. Players will journey through vibrant realms, fight colossal creatures, and recruit allies whose personalities and abilities shape the unfolding narrative. The game emphasizes exploration and immersion, with dynamic environments and fluid character animations powered by Unreal Engine 5. And yes, battling mythic beasts is terrifying, but at least you don't have to explain to your insurance company why your sword broke fighting a dragon. With its ambitious scope and cultural depth, Project Tal is positioning itself as one of the most anticipated RPGs of 2027, aiming to redefine how myth and modern design collide. Reanimal is Tarsier Studios' chilling new survival horror, arriving February 13th, 2026, and it thrusts players into a nightmarish island where a brother and sister must fight through hell to rescue their missing friends. Built on Unreal Engine 5, the game blends stealth, cinematic platforming, and environmental puzzles with the eerie atmosphere that made Little Nightmares iconic. The narrative unfolds across fragmented paths, forcing players to explore both land and sea while confronting grotesque monsters and unraveling the dark secret haunting their home. Designed for both single-player and co-op, it emphasizes teamwork, tension, and hope amidst despair. And yes, surviving monsters is terrifying, but at least you don't have to explain to your parents why you're late because a demon ate your homework. With its haunting visuals, layered storytelling, and emotional stakes, Reanimal is shaping up to be one of 2026's most unsettling yet captivating horror adventures.
Good night, and good luck to you all.
Replaced is Sadcat Studios' cinematic retro-futuristic action platformer launching March 12, 2026, and it thrusts players into Phoenix City, a corrupt stronghold where the Phoenix Corporation thrives in the aftermath of nuclear catastrophe. You play as Reach, an artificial intelligence unwillingly trapped in a human body, navigating a morally complex world where human life is traded like currency. The game blends fluid parkour movement with visceral melee and ranged combat, all wrapped in a striking 2.5D visual style that fuses neon-lit alleys with crumbling wastelands. Its narrative explores identity, control, and survival, pushing players to question what it means to be human in a society ruled by greed. And yes, being an AI stuck in a human body is tough, but at least you don't have to worry about forgetting your Netflix password. With its cinematic flair, morally charged storytelling, and stylish combat, Replaced is shaping up to be one of 2026's most distinctive indie releases, promising both spectacle and substance. Resident Evil Requiem is Capcom's chilling new chapter in survival horror, set to launch on February 27, 2026, during the franchise's 30th anniversary. As the 9th mainline entry, it thrusts players back into the ruins of Raccoon City, where Leon S. Kennedy, older, battle-worn yet still iconic, returns to confront the lingering nightmares of the past. The narrative promises a blend of nostalgia and fresh terror, weaving together new characters like Grace Ashcroft with familiar faces, while exploring themes of legacy, trauma, and survival. Powered by the RE engine, the game delivers photorealistic environments, dynamic combat, and a city that feels alive with dread. Fans can expect a balance of exploration, puzzle solving, and intense encounters with both human and bioweapon threats. And yes, Leon may be fighting zombies again, but at least he doesn't have to deal with the horror of expired Raccoon City parking tickets. With its mix of returning heroes, new mysteries, and cinematic ambition, Resident Evil Requiem is shaping up to be one of 2026's most anticipated horror experiences.
Victor Gideon.
Grace! Grace!
Victor purchased a building after Umbrella went under. I'll send you the address.
Welcome. Dr. Gideon has been expecting you.
You there, Leon?
Yeah.
Hey, over here.
FBI. What are you doing here?
Would you like to see what's hidden under the hood?
Don't do anything stupid.
Me? Never. Think I want a second opinion.
Resonance: A Plague Tale Legacy is Asobo Studios' bold return to its haunting medieval universe set 15 years before Requiem and following Sophia, a fierce young plunderer whose journey takes her to the mysterious Minotaur's Island. Here, she must outwit deadly foes, unravel ancient secrets, and confront a mythical creature tied to a devastating curse. The narrative blends historical grit with mythological spectacle, weaving puzzles, stealth, and combat into a tale of survival and fate. Sophia's path is fraught with peril as armies pursue her while the island itself tests her resolve through labyrinthine trials and cursed relics. Built on Asobo's cinematic storytelling and Focus Entertainment's backing, the game promises a mix of emotional depth and mythic grandeur. And yes, facing a Minotaur sounds terrifying, but at least you don't have to explain to him why you forgot Leg Day. With its 2026 release, Resonance: A Plague Tale Legacy is shaping up to be both a gripping prequel and a fresh expansion of the series' legacy. Saros' Housemarque is bold new sci-fi action epic, arriving April 30th, 2026 exclusively on PlayStation 5 and PS5 Pro, and it casts players as Arjun Devraj, a Soltari enforcer portrayed by Rahul Kohli, who must uncover the secrets of a lost colony on the shape-shifting world of Carcosa under an ominous eclipse. Built on Unreal Engine 5, the game fuses cinematic storytelling with Housemarque's signature bullet hell chaos, layering roguelite progression where each death strengthens your arsenal and suit for the next run. Persistent upgrades, hostile creatures, and a hauntingly dynamic environment promise both spectacle and challenge, while the narrative explores survival, identity, and the mysteries of Carcosa. And yes, dying repeatedly may sound punishing, but at least in Saros, respawning makes you stronger, unlike real life where respawning just means explaining to your boss why you're late again. With its mix of emotional storytelling, relentless combat, and technical ambition, Saros is shaping up to be the spiritual successor to Returnal, but with a sharper cinematic edge.
I will make everything perfect again.
Solasta 2 is Tactical Adventure's ambitious sequel to Crown of the Magister, launching in early access on March 12, 2026, and it thrusts players into the mana-soaked world of Neokos, where a dark force led by Shadwin threatens to unravel fragile alliances and plunge the land into chaos. Built on the SRD5E rule set, the game continues the studio's dedication to tactical, turn-based combat, dice-driven outcomes, and party-based storytelling, while expanding with a vast world map, deeper faction systems, and cinematic presentation. Players will recruit adventurers, navigate moral choices, and uncover secrets across perilous realms, with every roll of the dice shaping destiny. The narrative promises a blend of political intrigue and mythic danger, rewarding exploration and strategy. And yes, dice may decide your fate, but at least they don't judge you for rolling a natural one at the worst possible time. With comparisons already being drawn to Baldur's Gate 3, Solasta 2 aims to refine its cult classic foundation into a broader, more immersive RPG experience. Star Citizen, Squadron 42 is Cloud Imperium Games' ambitious single-player campaign finally nearing completion after years of anticipation, with a 2026 release window confirmed. Built as a standalone experience within the Star Citizen universe, it promises over 40 hours of narrative-driven gameplay, blending cinematic storytelling with space combat, exploration, and branching missions. Players step into the role of a rookie pilot thrust into humanity's war against the Vanduul, guided by a star-studded cast including Mark Hamill, Gillian Anderson, and Gary Oldman. The campaign emphasizes immersion, with richly detailed ships, dynamic dogfights, and dialogue choices that shape relationships and outcomes. Cloud Imperium has focused on polish rather than flashy marketing, ensuring Squadron 42 delivers a refined cinematic journey. And yes, it's been in development for so long that some fans joke the Vanduul might invade Earth before the game actually ships. With its mix of Hollywood talent, technical ambition, and narrative depth, Squadron 42 is poised to be both a milestone in space sims and a redemption arc for one of gaming's most infamous development sagas. Star Wars: Fate of the Old Republic is Arcanaut Studios' bold new RPG, unveiled at the Game Awards 2025, and it promises to transport players back to the twilight of the Old Republic in a galaxy teetering on rebirth. Directed by Casey Hudson, the veteran behind Mass Effect, the game is designed as a narrative-driven, single-player epic that builds on the legacy of Knights of the Old Republic while forging its own path. Players will step into the role of a Force user navigating political intrigue, ancient mysteries, and the moral dilemmas of light versus dark, all within a cinematic framework powered by modern storytelling techniques. While details remain scarce, the announcement trailer teased sweeping galactic vistas and a tone of mythic grandeur. And yes, fans are already joking that the game might take so long to release that the Sith will file a formal complaint with HR. With Lucasfilm Games' backing and Hudson's vision, Fate of the Old Republic is shaping up to be one of the most anticipated Star Wars RPGs of the decade, even if patience will be tested before its eventual launch. The Expanse: Osiris Reborn is Owlcat Games' ambitious dive into the beloved sci-fi universe, a third-person action RPG where players step into the boots of a mercenary commander leading the Pinkwater security squad aboard a space frigate. Set in the 24th century, humanity has conquered the solar system, but peace is a fragile illusion as Earth, Mars, and the Belt teeter on the brink of collapse. What begins as a reluctant stopover on the asteroid Eros spirals into a conspiracy spanning the system, forcing you to gather a crew, navigate shifting alliances, and survive battles that test both loyalty and skill. Exploration, combat, and dialogue choices intertwine to shape your path through a web of lies and power struggles. And yes, space combat is brutal, but at least you don't have to worry about parallel parking a frigate in zero gravity. With cinematic storytelling, branching decisions, and the weight of the Expanse's lore, Osiris Reborn is poised to deliver a gripping blend of narrative and action that lets players leave their mark on the stars.
My suggestion? Eros.
The Godslayer is Pythia Games' ambitious open-world RPG, revealed in late 2025 after years of silence, and it thrusts players into a sprawling steampunk city inspired by Eastern culture where divine beings known as Celestials rule with iron fists. You play as Chung, an Elemancer gifted with elemental powers reminiscent of Avatar, the last airbender who rises against the gods themselves in a tale of rebellion, vengeance, and destiny. Combat blends martial arts fluidity with elemental mastery, letting players unleash fire, water, earth, and air in dazzling combinations while exploring a handcrafted metropolis filled with secrets, factions, and colossal bosses. The narrative promises a mix of mythic grandeur and personal struggle, as Chung's defiance sparks a war against celestial tyranny. And yes, slaying gods sounds epic, but try explaining to your neighbors why your apartment smells like burnt lightning after a boss fight. With its fusion of steampunk aesthetics, mythological storytelling, and dynamic combat, The Godslayer is shaping up to be one of the most striking RPGs of its generation.
Have a taste of my ass!
The Witcher 4 is CD Projekt Red's bold continuation of its dark fantasy universe, officially revealed at the Game Awards 2024 as the start of a brand new trilogy. This time, players step into the role of Ciri, the child of the Elder Blood, who takes center stage as the saga shifts to the northern kingdom of Kovir, a land never before explored in the series. Powered by Unreal Engine 5, the game promises a vast, immersive open world with dynamic weather, intricate ecosystems, and branching narratives that expand on the moral complexity the franchise is known for. CD Projekt Red has emphasized cinematic storytelling, player choice, and technical innovation, aiming to surpass even The Witcher 3 in scope and detail. And yes, Ciri may be destined to fight monsters and shape the fate of kingdoms, but she still can't escape the horror of NPCs asking her to fetch herbs. With its mix of mythic storytelling, cutting-edge technology, and a fresh protagonist, The Witcher 4 is shaping up to be one of the most anticipated RPGs of the decade.
You cannot change anything!
Tides of Annihilation is Eclipse Glow Games' sweeping Arthurian-inspired action-adventure scheduled for release in 2026, and it casts players as Gwendolyn, the lone survivor of a catastrophic otherworldly invasion that fractured London. Her journey spans the ruins of modern-day London and the mystical realm of Avalon, where she must seek the Holy Grail to save her sister, restore the world, and exact vengeance on demigods who rule with cruel dominion. Powered by Unreal Engine 5, the game promises cinematic storytelling, fluid combat, and richly detailed environments that merge myth and modernity. The narrative blends personal tragedy with epic legend, weaving puzzles, exploration, and battles against towering foes into a tale of survival and destiny. And yes, fighting demigods sounds terrifying, but at least you don't have to explain to King Arthur why you accidentally dropped Excalibur in the Thames. With its fusion of mythic grandeur, modern setting, and emotional stakes, Tides of Annihilation is shaping up to be one of 2026's most intriguing fantasy adventures.
My quarrel lies not with you, but I will take back everything that belongs to me.
Tomb Raider Catalyst is Crystal Dynamics' bold new chapter in Lara Croft's saga, scheduled for release in 2027 and set years after the events of Tomb Raider Underworld. Powered by Unreal Engine 5 and published by Amazon Game Studios, the game transports players to northern India, where a mythical cataclysm has fractured the land, exposing ancient ruins and awakening forces that guard long-buried secrets. Lara must navigate treacherous tombs, rival treasure hunters, and shifting alliances as she races to prevent a catastrophe that could reshape the future. The narrative promises a blend of myth and modernity, with richly detailed environments, intricate puzzles, and cinematic storytelling that expands Lara's legacy. And yes, Lara may be battling demigods and rival hunters, but at least she doesn't have to explain to airport security why she's carrying Thor's hammer in her luggage. With its mix of expansive exploration, puzzle solving, and mythic spectacle, Catalyst is shaping up to be one of the most ambitious Tomb Raider entries yet, uniting Lara's past and future in a sprawling adventure. Tomb Raider: Legacy of Atlantis is Crystal Dynamics' daring reimagining of Lara Croft's 1996 debut, arriving in 2026 to celebrate the franchise's 30th anniversary. Powered by Unreal Engine 5, the game revisits Lara's hunt for the Scion, an artifact of immeasurable power, across exotic locations including Peru's jungles, Greece's ruins, Egypt's deserts, and a myth-shrouded Mediterranean island. While honoring the spirit of the original, it introduces modern gameplay, cinematic visuals, and adjusted difficulty to suit contemporary players, ensuring the iconic puzzles, traps, and death-defying traversal remain intact. The developers promise surprises that expand the lore while keeping the essence of Lara's first adventure alive. And yes, rolling boulders are back, because what's a Tomb Raider game without a giant rock reminding you that cardio matters? With its blend of nostalgia and innovation, Legacy of Atlantis is poised to rekindle the magic of Lara's origins while setting the stage for the future of the series.
But it lit a fire that still burns. I need to see more. I need to go further. to uncover the secrets of Atlantis. Some legends are destined to be retold.
Valor Mortis is one more level's grim new Souls-like adventure arriving in 2026, and it thrusts players into an alternate 19th century Eastern Europe, where Napoleon's war has torn reality apart and unleashed a plague that twists soldiers into undead horrors. You play as William, a resurrected British soldier bound to Napoleon's Grande Armée, forced to wield a cutlass and supernatural powers against both monstrous foes and the conspiracies behind his own resurrection. Built on the studio's pedigree from Ghost Runner, the game promises fast-paced first-person combat, brutal difficulty, and atmospheric storytelling across battlefields warped by history and nightmare. Elemental abilities like fire and lightning add flair to swordplay, while the narrative explores loyalty, corruption, and survival in a world where death is never final. And yes, being resurrected by Napoleon sounds epic, until you realize he probably won't let you take a sick day. With its blend of alternate history, dark fantasy, and punishing gameplay, Valor Mortis is shaping up to be one of 2026's most distinctive action RPGs. Wuchi the Wayfarer is Nexon Games and Lore Vault's ambitious new fantasy action-adventure announced in August 2025, and it transports players into a richly reimagined Joseon-era Korea where myth and history collide. Inspired by the tale of Jeon Wuchi, a classic Korean novel, the game casts players as the mischievous sorcerer Wuchi, whose journey spans sprawling cities, mystical temples, and cursed landscapes, all rendered in Unreal Engine 5 with cinematic flair. The developers promise a deeply emotional narrative that resonates globally, blending martial arts combat, spellcasting, and exploration with cultural authenticity. Its design philosophy mirrors the mythic grandeur of Black myth, Wukong, but with a uniquely Korean identity. And yes, Wuchi may be a legendary trickster, but even he probably wishes his magic could fix the release date faster than the dev team. With Nexon's backing and Lore Vault's vision, Wuchi the Wayfarer is shaping up to be a culturally rich, visually stunning adventure that could redefine how folklore-inspired games captivate modern audiences.
참으로 정성이십니다.
And that's the list. 35 absolute monsters that are about to steal our time, our storage space, and our sleep schedule. If even half of these deliver, we're eating good for years. Drop a comment with the one game you're most hyped for, hit like if your backlog is already crying, and subscribe for more real gaming talk, no fluff, no nonsense. All right, I'm out. See you in the next one.